Hi everyone. If you think that learning disabilities, dyslexia, reading disorders, anything of the sort it just seems like this kind of hopeless mystery. That's often what parents tell me when they're talking to me, that it just feels so obscure. It feels like they can't really understand what's going on. It's just this intangible problem that they can't solve and don't know how to deal with. Then this is for you. In order to understand how to help your child, in order to arrive at real solutions that are corrective, you need to really understand, first of all, the cause. Once you understand what's really going on, then you feel empowered, because from there, then you have options and so forth. So if you've been told things like, we don't know what causes it, your child's problem is most likely genetic, which that can totally play a role, 100%. But if you've been told that basically there's nothing you can do because it's genetic, absolutely not true. And if you've been told, things like, it's just the way they are, it's just the way they are, wired, those are some unfortunate, common myths, but definitely myths. And the real secret is, once you identify the cause, then you can arrive at a solution. You don't find the cause, you will not find the solution or solutions. So basically what happens is, not finding the cause and just, this idea that it's just this obscure problem is ultimately what leads to kids feeling stuck, what leads to them, to just these Band-Aid approaches that leave them feeling like they're constantly treading water just to keep their head above water while their other peers are just soaring. And as far as I'm concerned, that is no way to live. It's no way to spend childhood, especially when we know there are other options, when the science for decades has clearly shown there are very clear identifiable factors and causes that contribute to things like dyslexia, developmental delays, learning disabilities, and so forth. And also that there's very identifiable solutions, corrective interventions that go way beyond Band-Aid approaches or compensations like IEPs, tutoring, extra practice, medication, all those types of things, which can be very effective as a short-term, temporary solution. So let's just talk for a couple minutes about factors that contribute to dyslexia. Specifically because I really am talking all about that this month, since it is Dyslexia Awareness Month. So reason number one is, if a child moves too quickly through a milestone, or stays in a milestone too long, basically doesn't move through that milestone typically, then it will impact their brain development. So milestones could be things like creeping, rolling over, crawling, the list goes on and on. A lot of the kids I work with either did not crawl, had a delayed crawl, did not crawl for long, or crawled, for like 18 months, which is way too long. And so the result is that the brain does not develop properly. And what results is immature brain development, typically on just one side of the brain, and then one side becomes overdeveloped because it has to compensate. And that is leading into reason number two, is with dyslexia specifically, what has been shown is that dyslexic individuals have more activity, neural activity on the right side of the brain, and less neural activity and connections on the left side of the brain. I said right for more, right? Okay. So the idea with this is that the language center is on the left side of the brain. That is where fluent readers read from, is the left side of the brain. We all start off reading from the right side of the brain. That's where it's laborious and just, it's like we're reading on manual. It's really hard. For dyslexics, that activity does not switch over. We, however, can do that with the right interventions and so forth. And so too often we just end at, they're a right brain learner. Are these kids right-brained? 100%. Do they have incredible gifts and talents as a result of this overdeveloped right brain compared to their neurotypical peers? 100%. These are the kids that are mechanically minded, that are artistic, that are extremely empathic, that are sensitive, that are emotional. These kids are, can be super social kids if they can get over some of the anxiety that can occur with being right-brained. But at the end of the day, they don't have to lose that right brain genius just because we're getting the left brain doing more what it is designed to do, which is among many things, being the language center, being responsible for reading, writing, speech, all of that type of stuff. So other factors, there are many. I'm not touching on all of them today. And I talked last week in my training. If you haven't checked it out, it's in the group still. It's still posted there. And that is related to biochemistry, the biochemistry of dyslexia and learning disabilities. So deficiencies, toxicities, and how that relates to environmental and genetic vulnerabilities and what we can do regardless if it's environmental or genetic or both. So really the secret, guys, is to do detective work, to identify the area of imbalance or the area of weakness or the area that's underdeveloped or all of the above, however you want to say that. Once you identify those areas, that's where the magic happens. That's where you can work towards a solution that involves nourishing and strengthening those weak and underdeveloped connections. So in a nutshell, learning disabilities, dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyspraxia, ADHD, all of that stuff, whatever acronym we're using to describe these kids who so often have multiple diagnoses, is not a mystery, it's not intangible, and it's definitely not a case of we don't know what causes it or where it comes from. There are many, many, many decades of research that point to different factors that contribute to it. And once we start looking at all of them and determining what factor it is, usually there's more than one, there's several layers to this, then we can really help kids soar to their full potential. So if you want to learn more about my program that addresses the underlying reasons why kids struggle with learning, reading, focus, attention, all of these types of things, feel free to book a clarity call. I'll post a comment I'll post a link in the comment below to book a free clarity call to learn more about my program, how it can help your child, and so forth. So until next time, thanks for watching. And as usual, share, tag anyone who you know will benefit from hearing this information.